All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Let's get started. Um, so I'm going to let's start with kind of like reviewing quickly what we did last session or last week, last session, and then get to today's agenda, which is kind of going over the like food and then finishing up this module. Hopefully, we will complete this module Python refresher today, and then starting Wednesday, we start like the second module we would say, which is like UI design and UI development with Streamlit. Um, Before that, what we can do, we can take the attendance first so we don't have to worry about it at the end of the session. How about that? This time, let's do a different thing. All right. All right. This time, if you take attendance, it probably pops up something that asks you to allow it. This is a new feature I'm adding. It's under test and it might not work well. But what it does, it kind of like I give it like a branch and it checks like the range of the people who are taking the attendance, and it will tell us if like people are within the range or like they can taking attendance from outside the range. Then I can kind of like figure out how I can make it like really good so we can exactly see who are taking attendance outside the class. But I'll go back to it at the end of the session so we can test that. All right. Uh, so over the last week and like last three sessions, we talk about we start from variables, then we moved on to the dictionaries, and then we said database is a list of dictionaries. So that's why we talk about list dictionary. Yes, over sentence. Yes, yes. Forgot about that part. So list of dictionaries. So what happened? Last session we talked about CRUD. We said every application, every business application, when you are building a module, it starts with CRUD. Thinking about this module in terms of CRUD, meaning that, hey, what does it mean for this module like to be like creating something? What it means to be updating something? What it means to like search, like read information for this module? What it means to remove or cancel for this module. If you think of any module you're looking for, let's say I will tell you, hey, you're going to work on building a new incident ticket system. It's a very small module. These are people who are going to report incidents. Incidents happen in the university, in the school, or like in a system. Okay. So what is it? Think about as a group, what it means to create a ticket, what it means to look up a ticket, what it means to like print out ticket information, what it means to update a ticket information, and what it means to remove it in like a ticket. So every time you're adding like a new module, these like four features come with it, and like you start from there, you're defining these basic functions for that module. And that's after that the module becomes like a little bit more like extended in every like way in terms of CRUD. Hey, but what do you mean like the search? What kind of a search probably the user will look for? What kind of update you're looking for here? You can extend it. What kind of other features that you want to add to it? Okay, this starts with these four features. All right. So we talked about this last session. The other thing that we talked about and was very important, we said, hey, we are going to break down a problem description, or our query, our code into clear three underlying sections: input, process, output. Okay. So I'm going to divide it into three sections: input, process, output. Input, I'm going to specify what is the input for this query, for this module, like what is the input I'm receiving. And then process, what are the actions? These are usually with the verb, action verbs. What are the actions I'm going to take on that input? What is my goal here? Am I looking for something? Am I like reading information? Am I like trying to update something? Am I like making some like other changes? What is that function? You should clearly name it with a verb action. Find an assignment, cancel an order, change the status of an order, right? You should clearly name it with an action verb and then verb now, verb now. So if you had like a system design, analysis design, you might have heard use cases. Did you talk about use cases? Yes. Use cases basically are like the core of how you build this processor. Every use case translates into a function. Every use case becomes a function in the system. So besides that, and then output. This is the part that's responsible for like generating that output. That output depends on the process, like what is the goal of this like problem, right? So you look at it and say, am I like producing the full information? Am I just like returning some like a confirmation of like a process being done correctly or failure? So these are things that you're thinking, and then that's how you design the output. All right. So, in order to start from somewhere, for this session, we are going to create a new file. Okay. So let's create a new file. I will name it 11 crude. Okay, day2 dot py. If you come now, you can take the attendance. No, no worry. This is clearly not working. All right. So now, first, we want to go back to database list of dictionaries. We already have the list, so let's just copy this part. I'm gonna paste it here, okay? And I will change the name to assignments. Assignments. Okay, so create a new file. We'll name it 11 on the line cruise day2, and then copy this from the list, like the file we had database or list of dictionaries, and paste it here. I had this issue last session, so I want to like mention it just in case you also like see this. Like when you add it and like it shows you like some syntax, or when you try to run it, we spent so much time on it and then like just deleted the terminal and run it again and it worked. So if like you see some syntax sometimes, just like sometimes if everything is correct, try to like remove the terminal and then run it again. Okay, so we have the like let's say our database and like this, like the some assignments. First, so what is next? We talked about this last session. We said now we are dealing with database. We are dealing with data recorded, and we are dealing with like records. We want to make sure that follow the same pattern, that every record is uniquely identified with a primary key, usually in database, or like always in database. So we need a unique ID that we can assign it to every assignment. So we need a pattern. So what we are going to use, we are going to use a pattern to create new IDs every time we are adding a new assignment to our like database. Okay. So if you look at the pattern here for the like naming of the IDs, I can see that home HW homework and then a number. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to like build a pattern so that like every time we create like a similar key, if you're going to add a new assignment. First, I need like a number. That number always is going to change after adding a new assignment. That way we make sure that every assignment gets a new ID. So I'm gonna say like new assignment ID number. Okay. What should I start from? I'm gonna start from 3 just because we already have like 1 and then 2. So let's just start from 3. That's why I'm starting from 3. There's no specific reason because like they have like 1, 2. I want to make sure that just think that this is the start with 3. Okay. All right. Now we are not gonna touch this. Okay. So we are not gonna touch this here. But we are going to create a pattern now. So what is that pattern? Every time we are creating a new assignment, we are going to follow this. So new, okay, new assignment ID is going to be homework plus SDR, and then, right. So every time you wanted to add a new assignment, first you need to create the ID for that assignment. So that's the pattern. This is the pattern. Let's start from here. Homework plus new assignment IDs. Then before I forget or move to the next one, I'm going to add to the value of like this variable. So I know, okay, plus equal 1. So I know next time I'm using it, I'm actually creating a new ID, right? If you don't add it, then we will like create a duplicate ID. All right, so this is this is going to be new ID creation pattern. Okay, pattern. This part. All right, just so we can remember it. Now let's add a new assignment to the list, right? Just recall from like prior sessions. This is a list, so we can use .append to add a new dictionary or new assignment to this list. Okay, so I'm gonna use assignment append, and then first the keys. Okay, dictionaries are key value. These are the keys we have: ID, title, description, and key date and score. So let's add each one of them and then add the inputs. So ID, okay, ID is, what is ID? That's actually the one that I created for this assignment. New assignment ID. That's the one that I will use here. All right. New assignment ID. Then we have the title. All right. So title, final project. Oop. Final project, data base design. All right. Title, description. All right. Okay, in this assignment, we are going to build a complete database. All right. What is the other key here? It's due date. And the score, let's just put it to 100. All right. Something is missing somewhere, and that is I forgot to add the comma. The syntax error. Right. That's why we created the new ID so we can add a new assignment to the list. Okay. Now, from here, we are going to work on CRUD. Okay. So the first one, let's work on create. Actually, we created like here. So technically, I'm going to move this actually here. right? Sorry about this. Okay. We created or added or add new assignment. Okay. Add a new assignment. So this, in terms of code, you want to build a function or like build a feature that enables you to add or create new item for that module. So in this case, you can add a new assignment to the list of assignments. Okay. Now let's focus on read. All right. So we are going to create a query. Okay. What is the query? We just want to, we are going to, let me see, display, okay, all assignments information. All right. So practice, input, process, output. So I'm going to first start from that. I'm going to break down my code sections into 3 sections. Okay, input, process, output. What's my input? Here, we already have like we define list of assignments on this like file. So generally, like if the assignment, we don't like probably like are not gonna like pull it from database. But in reality, your input is like pulling the data from database. Okay. So I'm gonna just leave a comment here. Pull assignment data. Okay. Pull assignment data. Leave a comment that for next. What kind of an activity we are doing in this case? Are we like doing any process on the like the data? This one is very simple, just like it's about like producing an output. So we can leave the process and then just move out to output. So what I'm going to do is iterate through the list. Okay, iterate through the list and print out assignment information. Right. We use like for loop to iterate through the like the list. This one is just the name of a variable. I can name it anything I want. Every time you're creating it, think about the items in that list. Think what each item means in that list. In the assignments list, each item is an assignment, right? In the assignments list, every item or every dictionary is an assignment. So that's why I said for assignment in assignments, or for each assignment in assignments. That's how you kind of like can interpret it and simply define that loop and say for every assignment in assignments, this is the like this is our like job here. You're going to print out the assignment information. I'm going to use the fs string that we talked about before to be able to type the text or string and also insert variables inside the string. So ID, all right, ID, and it is assignment ID. All right. Oh, let's stop. Title and assignment. Okay. I'm mixing up all these syntaxes. Title and description. All right. Every time I'm trying to code, I'm thinking in 3 different languages. And that's why like it kind of like messes up all the like syntaxes I'm using. Um like Python, C#, and then like the other one, like they have very similar design, small syntax differences, and kind of like messes up how when you start like coding. All right. So that's about it. That's for this. Like this was our query one. Okay. So display assignment information. We can simply run this to just make sure that it is working, and we can see that we actually correctly created the ID here. Okay, homework 3, homework 1, 2, 3. And if we follow the same pattern every time you have a new assignment, we will be able to assign a new ID for it. All right. Now, let's move on to the next one. Okay. I'm going to add query to, let me see what's the query that I worked on last session. Okay. Find an assignment with title, right? With the title, right? What is that title here? Right, with the title here and display assignment. All right, I want to make sure that we go over the same question. So again, let's try to divide the code 3 sections: input, process, output. Can you tell me what are the inputs here? What are the inputs? We already, like similarly, you're pulling assignments, right? We need to assign. Is there any other inputs we're receiving? That is the other input. Would you say the input is the title that like the assignment that we are looking for, right? That's our input here, right? You're looking for an assignment with that title. That's you've received. That's the one that you're given. That's your input here. Okay, input. From now on, we're gonna practice this. We're gonna practice. We're not going to use the actual fact or actual value. We're going to use variables. Okay, variable. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say search. My input is search title. Okay, this is my input. You're not going to like use the actual values, right? You're going to store them in a variable and only use variable. The only place that you're going to deal with actual value is the input. And then like whenever you're like, even if in the output, you're just actually showing the variables too. So the only place you have it like the input, the actual value we get. So we have to store it in a variable and then start using the variable. This is our input. And the other input is like the same way that we had like from like and the other one, I'm gonna add it here, called the assignment data. So I have the assignment data, I have to like that would be my input and also like search title. That's what I'm looking for. Now, what is the process? The process can be defined simply to just find the assignment. That find means like check whether the assignment exists and then specify like just that's it. If you find it, just give the assignment to us. So I'm going to say find the assignment or find the assignment. Okay. That's my process. What is my output? The output is that, hey, I have an actual output and I should display the assignment info. If it exists, right? Always just think about this. Display, this is my output. Display the assignment info if it exists. Now, with this, now we can actually like define each section like code. We can add the codes here. We can say, yeah, I'm going to define like a loop to find the assignment. But for that, before this, first, I'm going to have a like I'm going to need a flag because the next module is going to ask me for a flag to whether you found it, and if you found it, give me the assignment detail so I can display it. So we're gonna pass like two pieces of info. One is like exists or found, anything you name it, that's correct. Okay. Initially it's false. And then let's just say assignment details. All right. And I'm gonna set the like initial value to none. All right. Here's the thing, when you code in modules, the great thing about like thinking like modular coding, like you have one module input, one process, one output. Before I define the process, okay, I can actually implement the other module because now it's much easier to define that. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Hey, I haven't defined the process, but as an output, let's say I'm responsible for output. I know that I'm going to check for exist, and if it exists, I'm going to display the information. And these are like the variables. If that's it, I can actually implement this part and say, hey, if exists, then print okay, assignment details. Else and not found. Right. What do you think, right? We haven't even like defined the process completely. But because we've specified what is going to be the input for the next part, and we have them, we can simply define the other module. The problem is not complete yet, but the thing is, when you separate the tasks, every module will ask you, give me the input, and I'm responsible to what I'm going to do for it or with it. I just need the input from the other module. From the other module, my input is going to be two things, exist variable and also assignment detail. I don't need to worry about how you implemented it, but you have to give me these two variables. Like, yeah, it's a list, it doesn't matter, it's kind of like a dictionary. Okay, so these are my two inputs. This way, you build like programs much faster. Why it becomes much faster? Because three people work on the same project, they define the inputs and outputs. That's it. It's like, hey, we're three people working on the same project. Let's divide this in three modules and define exactly what is the input and what is the output. If you do it, then you don't have to worry about or wait for the other person's job to be completed so you can start your job. No. Okay, you have to give me these inputs and outputs. Like you have to give me these inputs actually. Your output is going to be my input. And then based on that, I'm going to like do my work and like implement my part of the project. This is the module or design we are thinking about. So anyway, let's go back to the code and say, okay, for assignment in assignments, okay, if assignment, what is the assignment title? Okay, if the assignment title is equal to search title, right? They're not going to use the actual value anymore in our code, only to get the actual input and store it in a variable. That's about it. After that, everything is just about variables. If that's the case, then I will update exist to true. I found it. What else I need to do? What else I need to do? I need to store the assignment details in that variable because so that after the loop is over, I can pass it to the next module. I can pass it to the next module. Okay. So I'm going to use assignment details and store assignment in it. And then last step, if we're looking for that assignment and that's the only one that we were looking, we can break out of that loop. Can break out of that loop. You see, it makes it much easier to understand the code at this point. Every module clearly specifies what it's doing. This one, only input, process, output. I needed to just define like some outputs for the next one. I defined them. This is the ones that I'm passing. I could actually define the other one before even like I started implementing the process. But in this case, it's much clearer to like define this or like build this application. All right. Now I'm going to give you a few minutes and ask you to work on this question. So Q3. Update the description of an assignment. All right, 5 minutes. Please work on it. Exactly. Define like the section and then check every part. What is your input? What is your process? And what is your output? You're going to look into the assignments to see if you find assignment homework 1. And if you find it, you need to update the description and then let the user know it was updated. Yes. Yeah, I had the same issue last session. I just needed to remove all the like the terminals and like create a new terminal and then run the code.
What it is currently, or do you want us to say it is something?
So just probably just letting the user know that it was like updated, if it was updated. Otherwise, like, we didn't find. In order to test your code and make sure that you correctly implemented this three level coding, think about this. When like just like cover the input and process and say, based on what I have in the output, do I have everything to just like let the user know if like we found it and like we updated or not? Or something is missing. I haven't like I need this from the other version. If that's the case, then you still haven't separated them enough. There is something is missing. You should make them independent. That's about it. That's the idea. Making independent modules. So like making modules that are like responsible for single tasks. Here is about very simple things, just like input, process, output. But later, you will implement actually like much bigger modules that are still responsible for one single task, and then again bigger ones. And we learn how to translate into layer by layer application development. But the code is here to practice to separate codes, separate from like each one from the other one. All right. So input, process, output. All right. Output. I really feel bad for my GPT and my chat, like GPTs and codecs. Every time I type them, I have so many like grammatical errors. I don't know how it finds it, figures out. It's terrible. So sorry about it. It takes many tries so I can type it correctly. All right, input. What is our input? What is our input? Can you tell me? Yes.
Description and search ID.
Exactly. You need this as an input to be able to go ahead and search within the list. So I'm going to define two variables, right? Search, okay, search assignment ID is homework 1. All right. And then new description is this one that we got here. All right. Make sure you shouldn't have like probably 99% of your code should never have like some variable name that is like not informative. The variable names clearly should define what it is. Like V1, V2, these type of things are just very basic. Every variable has to clearly indicate what that variable is, right? The name of the variable. And what kind of data it is storing or carrying. The same way for the list, dictionaries, and so on. Meaningful name. All right, so process. What is the process? Here we are updating, right? The process is update, assignment, description. All right, that's our process, updated assignment description. Even you can define it more clearly than this one. How? Update assignment description by assignment ID. By assignment ID. Very important. All right. So the output is going to, let's say display success. In this case, it's about displaying success or failure. Failure, not finding anything in that sense of the of update activity. All right. So even thinking about let's think about the output. What does the output need to perform this action? What does it need? It just needs to know whether it was successful or not successful, right? Yes. So one variable we need to define and then based on that. So, okay, let's say, what would you want to call it? Successful or something like that. And that is false. All right. That's enough for me to define the output. That's enough for me to say, hey, if successful, okay, print assignment description was updated. Else print okay, what should I say? I'm not gonna say we didn't find it or anything. Depends on how you define the other one, but I just stick to say, hey, update wasn't successful. That's enough for me. If you want to like be more specific, you need to define more specific like steps. Update was not successful. All right. All right. We haven't even completed the process, but we completed the output. All right, now we can go ahead with this. For assignment, in assignments, okay, if assignment ID is equal to search assignment ID, then assignment description, okay, equal to new description, right? And then successful should set to true. And then you can break. And that's about it. Okay, any question? So now you can see, right? It is getting better and nicer, I think, more artistic in programming. That hey, you can actually like see things separately and see what is the input. I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to post an assignment. You should work on it, but it's a two-stage project because I want to like submit it after we talk about the Streamlight. And I will talk about how you're going to develop the code, but only to replace the input section with the Streamlight. Because you built your program modularly, then you can simply just take out something and replace it with something else. If you build your systems like your applications like layers, it's like a cake kind layer. You can take a layer and then replace it with a new layer. But if it's kind of like a pizza, everything is in it. You're not going to be able to take something out and like put something in it. It's everything is messed up. Based on this design, I can just I will keep the same thing. You don't do anything about the Streamlight. You just need to know if once you do it, that is the only part that you're going to replace. Once you learn how to UI design to application like a UI and get the input from application. That's exactly the same. Again, here, just about the print. In that print level, like it's going to be replaced with something on the application as like a code how you display it. Because you built it in a way that is not dependent on it's not messed up. It's everything is separated cleanly. So you just need to replace the ones that you're changing. Like if you're changing the UI, you just taking out the UI layer and replacing with a new one. Let's say one day you're storing your database locally. Next day, you decide to store your data in cloud. If you've created the code in a way that everything is in one place, that's the part I would cry. That's very hard. But if you've created it layer by layer, nothing is going to change here. everything, like there's gonna be one layer like here, it's the database layer. You're gonna just replace it. None of the user will ever notice any change because you built it into separate layers. And as much as we move forward, we'll talk about this again and again. All right, last thing I want to cover because it's crude and that the last one has to get some time, okay, which is delete. All right, so let's quickly do this part. Let's say we just want to do this quickly. So let's say we are like removing, okay, so that's our job to remove assignment. With assignment ID to be just homework 1, okay? Not input process output anything, just quickly do it. So homework 1. So first I need to find, okay, I need to find the homework. For delete an item from a list, you need the index. You need the index, okay? So what I'm going to do, I need the index, okay? I'm gonna add it to, let's say none, okay? All right. Now for assignment in assignments, I think I made a mistake here. Okay, for assignment in assignments, if assignment ID is equal to homework 1, right? So if you find the assignment, you can break. If you find the assignment, break. If you don't find the assignment, you still need to keep like going through the list. That's when you need to actually let's set this like index to 0. Okay, index to 0 and found. We needed 2 things. Sorry about that. It's false. All right. Found is false, index is 0. So I'm going to say I found it. All right. Otherwise, index plus equal 1. Why we do this? We are iterating through the list, checking every assignment to see if it's the assignment. If it's not the first assignment, then we need to add it because we're moving through the list, checking every item. So once we like completed that iteration, okay, then we can check if found, okay, if we found it, then delete, okay, that's the keyword. DEL, delete. Assignments, all right, and assignments ID, assignment index. That's why we had the index. So we know which assignment we are looking for. In order to delete from the list, we need the index. So we can specifically say delete this item in the list. So you need to iterate through the list, find the index that in that assignment is stored, and then remove it. Okay, if it exists. Try to do this over quickly, but again, we need to separate our code. All right, any question? So this is about that's about everything we covered in crude. Last step, get a status. Okay, the status get add dot to a staged get commit. All right, crude day 2. That's my note, and then git push. The staged committed and then push. All right, that's that. Let me check the attendance. I want to see if it works and like kind of test that. So you can help me. Let me see. We still have 2-3 minutes. What it says. Okay. It's not working here. All right, so Leslie, all right. So what it says, okay, some basically it shows that some like United, some unavailable. So it kind of like pops up something and then you need to specify like it can allow for checking the location and it checks for vicinity. Two things I've added. One is the location, one is the IP. If it is like you're using in the same like class, right? It's still early. Some of them, like basically some of them is indicating these are not available, and then specifying it. Like I don't have any outside range that I can try it. But that's kind of starting point. We'll talk about it. Hopefully I can make it better. All right, that's if you didn't take attendance, come here so I can update it for you. Other than that, that should be it. Well, let's start Springlight on Wednesday. Hopefully that will be fun. Thank you. Yes.
I would say in the bathroom, when you take that.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Please tell me.
Yeah, the manual.
Let me just close this.